Imagine a conscious contact with God so strong that no matter what you are doing or not doing, that no matter what your kids are up to or not up to, and that whether you've got the person of your dreams or they're just not cooperating, that you are happy, content, and at peace. A space where everyone else's thoughts, attitudes, and actions are beautiful and exactly as they are supposed to be. Well, this is the space where I like to play. My name is Mischa Z, and this is today's Bitch Slap. Join me as I shed light on the thoughts, actions, and attitudes that are causing you pain, and we train our minds to go to the capital S inner self, the joy that is waiting for us, the God within.
Well, this episode is going to be about man's search for meaning. Man's search for meaning, Viktor E Frankl. And not necessarily about the book, but just about an idea that I had on how to talk about the book, I suppose. And then the serendipitous events on how I got to read the whole book during my camping trip. So again, if you're just jumping in, I just got back from this amazing 2 or 3 day camping trip at Mammoth Lakes in Mammoth, which is in the Southern Sierras, I believe. You'd think I'd know. Anyhow, so I go on this trip, on this camping trip. I bring a book. This book happens to be Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor E Frankl. I just noticed too on the trip that his name is Victor E. Victor E. I mean, how great is that? I cannot believe I've never noticed that before. So I bring Victor's book, Man's Search for Meaning, with me and plan on reading some of it. Was absolutely not planning on reading the whole thing. But the hike in was pretty strenuous for me. It was a good, 8 miles plus, 2,000 or 3,000 elevation gain. And you've got a 25-pound pack on, 25-pound plus pack on. And so that can be, it was hard on my knees. I'll just be honest with you. So I was definitely, knees were sore on day 2. So day 1, we hike up there. It's beautiful, great hike, just unbelievable. We pass a few lakes. Let's see if I can remember what they are. Ghost Lake, I think, was one of them. It doesn't matter. We end up at the 3rd lake, however. Iceberg Lake, which I've talked about. And we got to jump in Iceberg Lake and then lay on the granite, which is just so good. If you have an opportunity to jump in a mountain lake that is ice cold and then dry off and heat yourself on a granite slab, Mother Earth, it does not get much better. So the next day we were planning on doing a 10-mile hike with a little bit of elevation gain, moving on to another campsite. But my knees were pretty sore. And I talked about this on a previous episode, 2 ago maybe, but that I was being encouraged to hike by my camping partner, Kyle. Hello, Kyle, if you're listening. And Kyle was like, hey, let's go. And I was like, I listened to my body and did the self-care and was like, no, I am not going. I need a down day. And I cannot tell you what a miracle that is, because oftentimes I will just push through it, take some Advil, charge, make it happen, like be strong. And I said, you know what? The universe is telling me, listen to your body. And I did. And thank goodness I did. So that gave me a full day to hang out at Iceberg Lake, which is at about, I think it's 9 or 10. I think it was 9,800 feet elevation. God's country. It is so beautiful. Just this lake is surrounded on all sides by these massive granite peaks. And then the outlet is where you hike up. It's where the lake, turns, a river drains down, drains out of this, out of, I don't know how, if I'm saying this right, but it's just beautiful. And the solitude is incredible, and the quiet is incredible. And you're far enough out there that a couple people you run into. And so I had an opportunity to dive into Man's Search for Meaning, Victor E Frankl. And what an intense, heavy, deep book. Ultimately, Victor E Frankl. Viktor Frankl was in the death camps during World War II. He started at Auschwitz and then went to 3 others. So for 3 years, and he somehow survived. And hence Man's Search for Meaning. And he refines his logo therapy, LOGO therapy. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but logo, I believe, is Latin for meaning. I believe it is. Anyway, I'll dig back in. This episode is not necessarily to tell you about the meaning of the book, but just to say I had an opportunity to read the book. And at the same time, I need to start, part of my project is to go on to, you pick 3 to 5 groups, Facebook groups that have a combined audience of 100,000 people. And then you start, every day you do a value post. So a post that adds value to each of those groups, your 3 to 5 groups. And every day you answer, it's either 2 or 3 questions, question threads. There it is, 3 questions per group. So to build that habit, those are next steps for me. And so Man's Search for Meaning, I just dog-eared so many pages. There were so many great sentences and bits of awareness. So my thought was, and hopefully I'll be able to turn some of those inspirations into podcast episodes. But for now, I'll finish my thought. It was to take those sentences and create a value post for the group. So what's the sentence? Perhaps I could relate it to an experience of my life. Bam, there's a value post. And that was very exciting to me, to be like, oh yes, here is a way that you can do these daily posts, add value, hopefully create some inspiration or some contemplation for people. And then hopefully you inspire them, and you inspire them enough that they come look at your Facebook page. Hey, who is this guy, Mischa, that's talking about giving us these value bombs, is what you'd call them. So that's the theory. So you have that to look forward. You get to hear me talk about my progress with that. Does this as a way to build an audience and to suss out your perfect customer. Does it work? Is it effective? And I thought it was really cool that I listened to my body, held the boundary with my camping friend Kyle, stayed at the campsite, just meditated and rested and relaxed and detached, and read Man's Search for Meaning and had all this great inspiration. So there you have it. I think that's enough for me. I hope I've closed the loop. I'll open another loop. The other loop is, next episode, I'm going to talk about how in Man's Search for Meaning, part of what Viktor Frankl's theory is that meaning is what drives man, and not pleasure, as Freud says, but meaning, having meaning. And he breaks down meaning in all sorts of cool ways. 3 ways in particular, actually, and they don't have to be, you can still find meaning in the face of your executioner, which is one thing, which is pretty wow, right? That's what he's talking about. I'm not going to claim to know that, but he does talk about that. But he talks about being of service as one of the ways, and I'm going to tell you how I got to be of service literally after I finished the book. So fun. All right. Love to all. Peace out.
Thank you for spending time with me today. As someone who is committed to growth and service to this world, I so appreciate your willingness to come with me, go within, and serve our world through change. If you found value in this podcast and you know someone who can use this message, share this episode with them. Share it so our mission can be achieved one episode at a time. And of course, subscribe so you can hear more. And lastly, for more resources on what has helped me on my journey and can help you on yours, go to belove.media/resources. That's BELOVE.media/resources. Thank you again for listening.